expect to hear a lot about it. I mean, if we're
if we do.
It's now 7 o'clock, and I would like to call to order the January 16, 2013 meeting of the Novi Public Library Board of Trustees. At this time, a call to order, and would ask Trustee Teasdale to do the roll call.
Thank you. Trustee Verma.
Present.
Trustee Kilgore.
Present.
Trustee Chekai.
Here.
Trustee Teasdale. Present. Trustee Margolis.
Present.
Trustee Mena.
Here.
Trustee Stirring.
Present.
Student Representative Matthew.
Present.
And Student Representative Yu.
Present.
Thank you. If we all stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on down the agenda to the approval and overview of the agenda. Any comments on the agenda? If not,
Motion approved. Support.
motion to approve the agenda has been seconded. With no further comments, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? The agenda as presented is unanimously approved. Item number 4, consent agenda. Any comments on the consent agenda? I'd entertain a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Consent agenda has been unanimously approved. Moving on to item number 5, correspondence. Julie, we have a few thank you letters, it looks like.
We do. The first thank you letter is from the International Visitors Council of Detroit. We gave a tour which was actually part of the city's process for having some visitors here to the city of Novi. They came from Kazakhstan. We had about eight of their representatives come over. We gave them a tour of the library, and it was very nice actually to meet with them and have them look at our new facility. The second is a thank you letter, which went to Mary Ellen Mulcrone, our Assistant Director of Building Operations. She gave a tour to members from the Rochester Hills Public Library to look at the different services and areas, public areas that we provide. They're looking at some changes to their library as well. I'd like to see new libraries and changes that have been incorporated. And then on page 18 is a thank you letter from Greg Morris, the Recreation Supervisor here at the City of Novi, for the library taking part in the Light Up the Night event, which was a huge success for both of us. Any questions or concerns? Okay.
Very good. So nice to see so many people appreciative of what we're doing. Item number 6, this is a presentation by our new finance director from the city of Novi, Nevros Nazarko. We're honored to have you in Novi, and we're honored at the library to have you so shortly after coming to Novi making a presentation here. Thank you for being here tonight.
Good evening. Is this on? And thank you for having me tonight. I'd like to apologize. Although I've been here a short time, I should have come to meet each and every one of you earlier, because for 2 reasons. A, I'm going to be working with you hopefully for a long time and talk about financial issues. And B, I've heard that you do a great job, and I think that the results speak for themselves, along with Julie and Marcia. It's a beautiful operations that you have, and I'll do my best to keep that going and to do my part in keeping a financially stable library that you have. For you who I had a chance to meet a few of you before the meeting started, and I met Mr. Strong at the appreciation dinner. My name is Nevros Nazarko. For the correct spelling, please look at the memo that I distributed the last couple of days.
It's really not that hard to pronounce.
It shouldn't be, but you know, it gets easier with time. Again, I'd like to, I appreciate the fact that you gave me the opportunity to talk to you tonight, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions if you have any type of questions, financial, personal, or otherwise. I enjoy what I do. I've been just a little bit of background on me, as I told Mr. Menia earlier. Originally, I'm from Albania. I've been to United States since 1992. Graduated from Wayne State with bachelor's in accounting and master's in business administration / finance. Just as a side note, graduated with summa cum laude on the bachelor's and master's as well. Been working in the public sector from 1995. Then in 1999, I went to work for the city of Hamtramck. For 14 years, I was their controller, finance director, and the last 3 months before I came to Novi, acting city manager as well. I have seen finances down, and I've seen finances up. This definitely is it beats the other. So going back to the financial reports that I distribute to the board, and I know that Mr. Margolis, I appreciate the feedback on those. Just to clarify that there was a slight discrepancy on the two items in the balance sheet, which there are two separate documents, the balance sheet that we produce based on our system, and also the balance sheet, so to speak, of the investments that we have another party, a third party outside from the city of Novi, who keeps track of those investments as well as we do. Because of the timing and this is a new vendor that we switched to keep track of our investment, not just for the library, mind you, but the entire city's operations. We have a lot of investments out there with many investment companies. Rest assured, all our investments are safe. We do have, and the library follows the investment policy that we have for the city of Novi in general. But the reporting, the slight discrepancy that there was because of the timing difference, that what we do in our books and when they plug them in their system, sometimes they don't match, and this was a prime example. Finally, we came to realize that it was $317 short between the two statements. The only difference, as I explained in the email to Julie and hopefully to you, David, is that we received the credit card payment on our books December 31st of all days, and it was not posted till July 4th on the investment side of it, the operations. Again, everything, it should be fine. Going forward, I'll pay more attention to those two items, balancing. It shouldn't be a problem. It has never been a problem. We always got a slate, clean opinion on our financial statements. We do have great staff. I have great staff to work with. We had some bumps in the road with a couple of staff members leaving, as I was talking earlier to you. But it should be settled because we offered, and two new finance people accepted the position of that we have two positions that we have vacant. Other than that, I believe your revenue expenditure report is on target. As you know, we are in midpoint of the year. 50% of that, we all know. But there are some items, such as healthcare, for example, that could be a little bit higher than that. Nothing to worry about. As I said, looking at the long term for the whole year, I believe the library will be within the budget that you have approved, and we are maintaining along with your staff. We are in the middle of the budget session, looking forward to the new year. The process has started. Julie and I had a couple of conversations. Some questions will, as days go by and as we approach the crunching month, which is, in my book, is around March, we will be ready, and before you will be a budget that is viable and will serve the purposes of the library and keep the operations, the excellent operations that you have going. Bottom line is that you know better than I do that the fund balance that you have in both the main library account and the Walker Fund, they are both healthy. As a matter of fact, very healthy, more so than the city itself, to be honest with you, based on the overall weight of the operations. I'll do my best, to give you the excellent reporting that you expect, and on your part, you'll do the best to keep those expenditure line items in check and to keep that fund balance growing. So with that, I'd like to give you time to ask me any questions that you want.
Any members or any trustees have any questions? Trustee Margolis.
I'd like just to, especially for the audience at home, just make a couple observations. Number one, we're very appreciative of the shared services that we have with the city, okay? Any little bumps in the road, as you referred to, we will definitely work together and make sure that we're providing you the right source information, and then, as you said, we expect the feedback to make sure that we can make well-informed decisions. But we're appreciative of you and your staff and the information that you're providing us. That's number one. Number two, the fallacy that or misconception, I think, that a lot of people have is that as we report the fund balance information, we don't have those specific assets. I'm sure they're pooled with the other city investments and they're allocated accordingly, and we get our proportional share of the market fluctuations or any earnings that are generated. That being said, your new format that you give us, where you provide different perspectives of how the fund balances are allocated in accordance with the city's policy, is probably a little more conservative than we would like, because obviously we would, like a higher yield, but we respect the fact, like I said, that we don't invest those funds specifically, that they're part and parcel of a larger investment. And every time you strike it well with a good investment, I'm sure they get called on you, and you got to figure out a plan B.
That's exactly right.
Okay. So all I would ask, just as we go through the budgetary process and share information between the two of us, any excess funds we would like to have invested more long-term and try to extract as much yield as possible. We just happen to sit on too much current funds, I think, relative to our spend. And that's the only other observation that I would make at this time. Thank you.
Can I respond to that quickly, if I may? There are excellent points. As far as the yield is not where we want it to be, but keep in mind that in the last 3-4 years, or actually since back from 2008, our yield basically goes in tandem with the market out there. And since the interest rates practically are down to almost zero, the overnight borrowing rate from the Feds, the bond market out there where we heavily invest doesn't yield the same amount as it used to. We used to be to a point, I looked at some reports back, like at 1.5 years ago, we earned as much as 5% on our investments. Not anymore, because the demand for bonds is not, or for the interest that we want. The demand is still there for a healthy community like ours, but the investments that don't yield as much as they used to. On the other hand, we want to balance the risk, and we do have a strict policy as to where to invest and how much risk we can absorb. We don't want to be too aggressive and then come to a point that God forbid, we lose money. So we try to steer clear of that option as well.
Other questions or comments? Trustee Cheka?
Okay, also, I was just pointing out.
Okay.
I do have a comment. Thank you as well, and welcome.
Thank you.
Just to echo Trustee Margolis, we are very sensitive to the timing on the investments. And for the $5 million, give or take, portfolio balance that we do have, we probably don't need, and I would defer to Trustee Margolis, but probably at any given point in time, $100,000 or $1 million being liquid is probably much more than we would need at any given point in time, given the fact of where we have been from a budgetary standpoint, We effectively cover our expenses with our operations, and given the fact that we have a new facility, our long-term maintenance and repair items are quite some time out as opposed to in the near term. So we have been sensitive for quite some time of reducing the amount of short-term and would like to have a little more long-term on some of those investments, understanding, as you pointed out, that there is a city policy, but even if we were to get into some more 11-month CDs, which wouldn't be too far out, but maybe yielding, looking at the yield curve we have here, there's probably 20, 30 basis points we could probably do on some of these investments. So just echo the thoughts.
I'll keep that in mind. Looking forward, I'll pay more attention now that I have some feedback and input from your board, which I didn't have before in this case. And furthermore, I'm going to, again, steer clear of locking those term rates for longer than 3-4 years, because I believe that we have hit, interest-wise, I believe, with the bottom, and later on we're going to come up, and if we lock our interest rate investments in 3-4 years and the rates go up, then we lose money by the same token. So right now, I think we are at the point that it's kind of like the tipping point of the interest rates. At least that's what I expect. Doesn't mean that I'm correct.
Trustee Kilgore?
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome to Novi.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here, and I was intrigued to hear about your past experiences. We were chatting before the meeting started. You've been places where finances were both good and challenging.
Correct.
And I'm intrigued a little bit about the challenging aspect. As you know, we are balancing our budget by appropriating from the fund at this point. And while I don't speak for the board, I suspect that at some point, this board is probably going to come to you and ask for your thoughts about, if we do not reduce spending, how long will our fund balance last in light of where tax revenues are projected to be over the coming years? And if we have a challenge, perhaps you are a person who can give us some advice as to how to handle that situation.
If I may respond again to that, I would be more than happy. I was born, I believe, a conservative type person, and my whole history shows that, so I'll not be shying away from giving you my feedback 100% the way that I see it, and not the way that you want it to hear. I take pride in that, and I believe our current city manager, that's what he saw in me when he hired me. So I'll apply the same strategy as with your board, to be, again, honest upfront and give you hopefully enough time feedback ahead of time so you prepare for challenges ahead. To my knowledge, looking at the books, again, I was not aware of the situation that you presented, Mr. Kilgore, but definitely, again, I'll try to take a look and give you timely feedback on my thoughts.
Any other questions or comments from the board member? I'm going to sound a little bit like a broken record. Well, thank you very much for being here. We really want to thank you, your staff, and the city for carrying on this administrative task. We know that it's time-consuming, and the fact that you and the city do this for us, it allows us to direct our staff to more library-orientated things. So, it's an enormous task that you do for us. We really appreciate it. And I will echo a little bit what Trustee Margolis and Trustee Chekai had indicated. If we can push some of the money out, not necessarily 3-4 years, but longer than 1 or 2 months out, we think we're very heavy in the short term, 1 month out, and we could go a little further out on that. But thank you again for being here, and you're very helpful, and I think you've satisfied all of our concerns that we have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
All righty.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I could just.
Oh, Julie, I'm sorry.
Nevers and I will be meeting next, in 2 weeks actually, to talk about the library's budget and some of the numbers that the finance department normally provides to us in order to do our budgets for February.
Okay.
So we look forward
Looking forward to that. And one quick point, I knew I left early. I've been talking to Julie and Marcia regarding, we have a slight discrepancy in the expenditure side of our budget. Not the bottom line. When the budget was imported into our system, 3 line items were imported in the wrong line. Again, nothing to worry about because the bottom line is intact and is the way you approved it. But I'd like to have your authorization to remove, not to remove, but to reallocate those lines. And if you want the line items, I do have them as well. One of them would be from the uniforms to the desk, chairs, and file cabinets. The other one would be from the books into the library books and fines. And the last one would be from the record storage into the office equipment list. So those are the three lines, and details of those could be coming forward to you by Marcia, I believe. And once I have that, then I'll make the corrections. So the next time when you see the financial statements, those will be in the right place.
Trustee Margolis.
Again, I appreciate your assistance in trying to be consistent in the way that we measure our performance against the budget expectations. There was one other line item. There was a $15,000 landscape improvement that we had specifically allocated from the last fiscal year. So if we could segregate that, the $15,000, which is included now in other maintenance costs. Again, the totals are in sync. It's just the way for presentation purposes.
Okay, I'll take a look at it again.
Okay.
I'll talk to, be in contact
Thank
with
you.
Marcia to see if we can correct it. Okay, thank you again.
Thank
and
you.
Have a good night.
To continue on with financial discussions, I'll turn it over to Trustee Margolis for the Treasurer's report. Oh, I'm sorry. I am skipping. I'm getting too fast here. Item number 7, public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public that would like to make a presentation of any sort to the library board. You have time right now to approach the podium and make whatever comments you want to make to the library board. No, not putting anybody on the spot, are we? Okay. In that case, no public comments. The other item I skipped is the president's report, and with that, I'll turn it over to Julie to discuss our goals.
Just a couple things to highlight for you this month. As you know, we're not bringing the full document. We're doing that quarterly, so I just wanted to give you some updates tonight. Anything that's mentioned and read in the goals document is new and has been added. So we have reached out with our welcome brochure written in, translated in Japanese to our Novi School District for their welcome packets. That was something that was asked knowing that the new Japanese school had started with the community this year. As well as our meeting with our Novi School District media specialist to begin planning the 2013 summer reading program. Last year was a huge success by us getting the school more involved and even the teachers and our media specialists, and we've got them right on board again for the planning for this summer. It's going very well. The next thing to highlight is we are starting our planning for the community reads, and we had such success this fall, and we have meetings that have already begun and starting to look at titles to be considered for next year. Another one, which I know through email you've heard from me, but the Novi Public Library did win Novi Business Recognition Award for Customer Service Excellence by the Chamber of Commerce and the Novi Rotary. We'll be accepting that award on the 25th of January at their Toast of Town event. And then also we have some training coming up for the AED equipment that we have at the library. And finally, this Saturday is our Scrapbook for a Cause. We did increase our numbers for participation in that, and I am anticipating about a $400 donation it's for registration for people to take part in a scrapbook day that we can use towards youth programming in the future. Any questions or comments?
Trustee Margolis.
Yeah, I just think that it's appropriate, given that we made one of the strategic objectives of focusing on customer service, and the staff went through various trainings, and now you've got tangible evidence from outside third parties that it's translating in terms of how you're interacting with the patrons. I think it's a wonderful thing. I think the staff deserves the kudos for, number one, setting the right objective, and number two, implementing it on a regular basis so that you get this kind of feedback.
Thank you. I will be happy to convey that to the staff, as well as letting you know that one of the goals for Margie Karp-Oper, our Assistant Director of Public Service, to finish out for her year, is for us to go back and look at our customer service model that we had put in place 2 years ago in 2010, to look at how we can change it, revamp it, and then talk with new staff members that have come on board that haven't maybe gone through the training that was initially given when we opened the building. So we'll be touching base with all those new employees that we have with us to continue that type of training. That'll happen this spring. Thank you.
And now we can go to treasurer's report.
All right, there has been no change to the budget that we're comparing our actual activity against, so we'll move right into my observations of the financials. At face value, the December 2012 financials look outstanding. However, upon deeper review, they're still very good, just not great. First, the good news. There was no reduction in recognized property tax revenues for the month. There was, however, collection of significant investment earnings and a rather large gain in market value fluctuations recognized during the month. When these items are added to the end-of-year gifts and donations that we got, we're off to a good start. Now, as Paul Harvey used to say, is the rest of the story. For the month of December, we fell well below our normalized expenditure, spending only 5.17% of the annual budget. This would appear to be a significant accomplishment, but I'll identify several contributing factors that need to be accounted for. Therefore, I caution everyone not to get too euphoric. Again, for perspective here, if we take our budgeted expenditures of $2,738,900 for the year and divide them equally over 12 months, we would expect there to be an average monthly budget consumption of $228,241, or 8.33% of the budget. And here we only spent 5.17. So let's get into some of the detail. With respect to the library fund number 268, the balance sheet that you find on page 24, cash was decreased by $112,665.98, or a decrease of 3.11% during the month, and that's a relatively light amount. In addition, current tax receivables were reduced by $4,783.95, or by 6.44%. As a result, total assets as of December 31st, 2012 were $3,593.12, which is down $117,449, or 3.17% from the prior month. Changes in liabilities were a reduction of accounts payable that decreased by $6,571.48, or roughly a 21% decrease. So as a result, total liabilities are down $6,571.48, or 3.95% less than the prior month, leaving an ending balance of $159,783. Our fund balance, as a result of comparing net revenues and expenses, it only decreased by $110,878, or down 9.02%, leaving a fund balance in account number 268 of $3,430,529.56, down 3.13% from November 30th. Going to the revenues and expenditures that you find on pages 25 and 26. With respect to revenues, as I mentioned previously, there was no reduction in the current property tax revenues. Yay. But investment earnings, account 664.00, were $17,774.50, or 71% of the budget. Again, probably just timing difference of when the earnings were collected. There was also investment gains of $1,039 in account 664.500. And additionally, we had some year-end gifts and donations in account 665.400 of $4,062, of which $2,700 was the Friends Varsity Lincoln fundraiser. So there must have been another $1,400 of outside gifts and donations that came in. When you add it all up, total revenues for the month of December were $30,692, for a year-to-date total of $2,386,735, which is 98.07% of the budget. As Nevris pointed out, here we're 6 months into the current fiscal year, so as a benchmark, 50% expenditure of the budget is to be expected. In the category of personal services, the total amount spent in this category of the month was $135,249.87, or 7.43% of the budget. That's well below the average monthly allocations of $152,000, reflecting yet another normal two-pay period month. On a 6-month year-to-date basis, we've used 45.33% of the category budget. At the end of December, personal services as a percentage of revenues is 34.59% compared to the 37.42% we budgeted. In the category of materials and supplies, for whatever reason, I don't know the particulars, whether it be the holiday season, the change in the weather, or simply timing differences, but we spent very little in the way of reading materials, a combined $1,484 in the category of books, periodicals, audiovisual, and electronic media. As we've budgeted for, we expect to spend roughly $29,000 a month in this category. So I'm sure we're going to make up for it at a later time, but it has the impact of sandbagging the total expenditures for the month.
You definitely will, and that's actually just it's a low month in terms of what comes out too. There's some higher months where there's a lot of material that comes out.
Okay. So as a result, we only spent $3,529 in this category, which is less than 1% of the budget, for a year-to-date total of 45.81%, again, versus that 50% benchmark. And it represents 9.32% of revenues compared to the 9.97% that we budgeted for. In the category of services and charges, here's another category that begs explanation. For the month, we only spent $2,792, by far the lowest total of any month so far this year, or 0.67% of the category budget. And on a combined 6-month year-to-date basis, 49.24, with several line items that require conversation here, or at least explanation. The combined 6-month year-to-date spend is 8.6% of revenues, which is very close to the 8.57% that we budgeted. Now, some of the items, again, maybe timing differences,
Right,
but there was
they are.
a $40 credit in telephone expense. There was a return or credit from TLN of over $4,600.
And that is our E-rate reimbursement that we get annually. Yes.
Okay. More importantly, there were no utilities, no heat, no electricity in the month of December. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean we didn't incur them, we
No.
just didn't get the bills posted in time.
Correct. They're
So,
coming.
Yeah. Had they been included, the December expenditures would have been higher. I suspect
Correct.
we're going to have 2 months catch-up in January, so I'm just giving you a heads up.
Yes, you will.
There were no other capital outlays or contingencies, so when you combine all the categories together for the month of December, what we actually spent in terms of cash going out the door or payables being reduced was $141,571, which is 5.1% of the budget compared to the estimated 8.3% normal average monthly spend. For the 6 months so far this year, we've spent 46.31% of the budget, again, versus 50% on an annualized basis. This amount is 53.14% of revenues and less than the fiscal year budget expectation of 56.27%. It will catch up to us in January. If you look at the Walker Fund number 269 that you'll find on pages 27 and 28, again, with respect to budgeting for revenues, we didn't have any expectations, so anything that comes in is found money in terms of increasing that fund. For December, total revenues were up $29,817.71, or an increase over November of 748%, for a year-to-date total of $33,803.66, with $20,320 coming from donations and $9,498 coming from investment earnings. Again, both of those are over 700% increases of the prior month. Of the interest income revenues recognized, $9,058 was from direct interest earnings, and $439.50 was in unrealized market gains. Again, because the new policy is to reflect the market value as of the measurement date, and that's what Nevris provided for you in the quarterly investment summary. Why was it so high? Again, just to give credit and appreciation to the Friends of the Novi Library. At our last meeting, they were kind enough to give us that big check. Well, we actually deposited the $20,000 into the account. Thank you very much. There were no expenditures in the month of December out of the Walker Fund, so as a result, the net revenues over expenditures increased by $29,817.71, or 763.64% greater than the prior month, for a net year-to-date balance of $25,913. Going to the balance sheet, as a result of the December activity, cash was increased by $29,808, or an increase of 1.95%, and the small accounts payable we had, $9.20, was eliminated. Therefore, the unrestricted current year fund balance increased by $29,817.71 for the month. As a result, we got in Fund 269 total Walker assets $1,560,928.31 with no liabilities. Of that total, restricted for specific use, $90,251, unrestricted, $1,476,677. The combined library investments, which is a separate report provided by the city, shows investment portfolio in Fund 268 with a fair market value of, at December 31st, 2012, of $3,520,637. And in the Walker Fund, $1,560,928. When you combine them together, we show $5,081,565. During the month of December, the library fund was decreased, as I had mentioned earlier, by $112,348, while the Walker funds went up $29,808. So when we combine together the balance sheets of the two funds, we have $4,991,458. This reflects a decrease from November 30th of $81,061, or a decrease of 1.6% during the month. And I do not have anything to report with respect to the Library Cafe. I'm assuming that payment will be forthcoming.
It will. The 15th is when it normally comes in, so.
Any questions in regard to the treasurer's report? Trustee Checkeye.
Yes, thank you. Trustee Margolis, real quick, the last comment you made, the $4,991,457.87, the combined fund balance, that's as of 12/31 of 12?
Correct.
But the numbers up on top say $5,081,000 at 12/31.
That is correct. Just a gentle reminder, on the balance sheet, we have accounts payable of $159,000 in Fund 268. We also have a tax receivable of $69,493. Those aren't invested funds, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Thank you, Trustee Margolis, for that report. Moving on to item number 10, Director's Report. You're up again, Julie.
Thank you. Just a few things. Again, highlighting the library's win for the Customer Service Award for Excellence from the Chamber, the Novi Chamber of Commerce and the Novi Rotary, which I'm very proud of, as well as the staff should be too, because they've done a remarkable job since we opened the new building and even before. Then I want to just highlight that Trustee Stirring and I did attend the City of Novi goal-setting session on January 4th. In fact, I incorporated some of the notes that I thought would be of interest to you when it pertains to the library. This is a consulting group they work with, Frank Genio, who typically holds the session each year. If you look at page 33, those are the confirmed major strategic themes or goals that the City Council does set on an annual basis. And then what they do is they do an actual brainstorming session where they're looking for particular action items or things that they can do throughout the year in order to meet the goals, similar to what we are doing as a library board, just at a much bigger scale and for the city itself. But one thing that I do want to note is that on page 34, if you look at when the topic of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Services came up, and it was for long-term planning, there was discussion, and number 8 shows that there was a discussion about the increased hours that the library is open year-round. So I just want to make that noted to you. I know that this will be something that we will discuss in our budget sessions that are coming up in February, but obviously it is on the minds of our council as well, and I wanted to bring that to your attention. Trustee Stirring, did you want to add anything about that day?
Well, it was certainly a very interesting event for me. It's the first time I've really been to a council goal sessions, and so it was informative, very organized. I thought very efficient. A lot was accomplished in a morning session, really. But do want to emphasize that this comment regarding the library came up at a couple different times to increase the hours that the library is open year-round.
Moving on, just letting you know, as I always do the month of December and January, is I offer an opportunity for the employees to meet with me one-on-one. Those are great sessions. They typically last 15 to 20 minutes per employee, and it's voluntary. And it is confidential. It's an opportunity to see how the employees are doing, if there are things that they're looking to maybe improve on, or ideas that they have for the library, things that they've seen. I always encourage communication to their supervisors as well, but this is an opportunity for them to have a moment to sit with me, and it also gives me an opportunity to get to know them even more on a more personal level, and even in the workplace by doing this. We've had a number of changes made over the years by doing this, by looking at different workflows, looking at different ideas that maybe they just didn't think about until they sat down with me about how we can improve our library. So I have just finished those, and I'll be putting together a report for our management team so that we can look at things that were suggested. Some very good ideas that have come from those in the past. I did attend 2 meetings that took place in early January. Went to the Chamber B2B, which is a business-to-business breakfast, and also was invited to be the keynote speaker at the American Business Women's Association. Both are Novi residents for the most part, and it was an opportunity just to start with what we've put into the strategic plan with reaching out to our community members, getting out there and talking about the library and what the library does. I actually took with me, which you all are aware of, the large map that talks about the percentages of subdivisions and library card usage. Well, I trucked that along with me, that big old map, and showed them. It really is interesting when you can show people, depending on the subdivision they live in, how much of that subdivision has a library card and doesn't. And then in my talk at the very end, I challenged them, to reach out to their subdivisions and to reach out to their neighbors and find out, do they have library cards, and if they don't, why? And some of the great reasons, which I was able to talk for 30 to 35 minutes, which is a long time to give information about the library. And they were very pleased, and I've even had already a result from that. I've had someone already email me from the group and say, here is my president of my homeowners association, here's the email, here's even some churches you might want to reach out to. So it's very good for us to take that time in order to reach out to the community that way. I do think talking about it is the best way. Even though we're doing a lot of different marketing, it's nice to have an opportunity to discuss really what's going on. So that took place in early January. We did say goodbye to a 10-year veteran of our library, Phyllis Weeks. She came from the youth department, has done some fantastic work with our library, and has decided, her husband is already retired and has decided to retire and leave us. She will come back as a sub because she's fantastic, and we'd love if we can have the opportunity to have her touch base with us, but she has moved on from our library. We had a goodbye party and wished her well. She will be missed for sure. And then we said hello, starting on January 7th, to Christina Salvatore. And actually, Christina will come to the February meeting and meet all of you. Christina is our new communications coordinator. This is a position that I am working in partnership with the city on. It's a full-time position where we have Christina 15 hours, which is what we've normally had for a communications person, and the city has Christina 25 hours. We're sharing her between the 2 buildings. I already, in the only the 2 weeks that we've had Christina on board, I see great potential because the communication already increases because you have things you're sending over to that communication department, and now this is our person who's actually going over and receiving it on the other end and is working on a lot of projects that we would have been working in tandem with the city on in the communication department. Christina will work on our Engage and put all of that information together. She will also be, she's already done a fantastic job sending out some press releases for us, work on brochures, our in-house slides. There's a number of things that she'll be doing for us in that capacity. And to add to that, we've just brought on an intern. He will start next week. It's an unpaid internship through the Art Institute of Michigan. The gentleman's name is Jarrell Rashid, and he's going to be, he has a graphic design background. That's what he's going to school for. So he's going to work also with Christina on some projects that we will have, and he'll be with us till the end of March. So there's some other opportunities for us to improve on some things that we've kind of had sitting for some time. Some new brochures that could use a new look, and some projects that we have. That is all I have specific to my report. Moving on, I did include for you, which was a memo that came from the Human Resource Department on page 35, summary of some of the tax changes that are affecting payroll this year, just making you aware of that. We do have two policies that we will look at coming up on our in the agenda, which I will address. Then we move on to the Public Services Report, which was done by Margie Karp-Operer, and that's on page 42. As you can see, lots of different programs and events that took place over the last month. And then I wanted to incorporate on page 43, Margie was a highlighted staff person for the library in the middle school newspaper, and so I included that article so that you could see those kids really think fondly of Margie and what she does, and also just the relationship that they're building with us as a library, and them reaching out to us and then finding the importance in it is great, and having those young kids write up those articles. If you haven't read it, the young person who actually wrote up the article, I thought did a fantastic job, being a seventh grader. Page 44 is the Building Operations Report from Mary Ellen Mulcrone. Nothing changing, nothing major to bring to your attention there. We do move on then to, oh yes, absolutely.
Have the changes that were made with the HVAC system with respect to the entrance and the timing of the sliding doors, has that improved any of the cold air handling?
It has. It's hard. This year's colder than last year, so we're dealing with a different cycle of weather. I haven't had as many complaints even from the staff, but I think they're also getting used to it and dealing with it. We have done everything we can in terms of making the changes. We know that the HVAC system is working and it's working well. The heating is pumping out like it should, but it is cold. I mean, because we're busy and those doors are opening constantly, we're never going to have 100% for that, and it's never going to be warm like it is on the second floor, because obviously heat rises too. But it's because we just have a constant flow of people that come in and out of the building as well. But the changes that were made, they've been done to the best that they can be done. Yes.
Going back to page 30, 101 meeting.
Yes.
You mentioned that you met some of the staff members and they gave some ideas to you, and then you incorporated those ideas.
Well, I haven't done it yet. We just had them. Mm-hmm.
All those staff members have their supervisor also.
Correct.
They don't talk to the supervisor?
No, they do. They do. Go ahead.
They didn't give those type of ideas to their supervisors? Why they were holding it to tell you only?
It's not a lot of ideas that come out of it. It's really how is the work environment for you? Are you enjoying working in the library? Are there things we can do to make your employment better? Those are the types of things, which that's communicated with a manager, but it's just an opportunity for them to meet them, and they'll bring up. They've probably already heard it from managers. Then when it comes to me, it might be something that we can look at and even address even more. But there's no gap in communication.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Anything else that I can address? If- Yep.
About the Margie, I think I attended one of those Indian cooking class.
Yes.
Now, this class is done by the person who presented it, or you, library initiated it?
We initiated looking, twofold. We've had people approach us and say that they have the skills and the expertise to provide a program. We'll look into it, or we will seek out someone. This time it was someone who came to us and said, I have a program that I can provide, and this is the topic. It was an Indian cooking class. It went very well. It was very successful.
Over 35 people were there.
I'm sorry?
Over 35 people were there.
And we got really good feedback about, doing different types of other ethnic programs, so for
Even
food.
the Japanese were there too.
Yes, yes.
But what I'm saying, I think.
It depends.
You already hit the point. I think you can invite Japanese and Chinese also.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Because I think the ladies in Novi, they really want to come to learn that.
Yep. And we respond both ways. So if they come to us and make a suggestion, we're definitely open to looking at programs that they can provide to us without us knowing, or we'll seek out if there's an interest, but yet we don't know someone. We will also look into that as well.
Thank you.
On page 45, 46, 47, this is your statistics for the month of December. A little lower with a few things, but I do believe that we were closed 2 extra days in December as well. I think that really is what attributed to some of the lower numbers. For the most part, we're doing very well in terms of items checked out for December, 54,805. That's one of our higher numbers when it comes to December. In terms of number of library cards issued, this month it was 255. That's definitely lower from other months when you look as a comparison. December probably out of all of the months though of the year is the quietest month. But even now with the new building, we're busier than we were in past years. We're still averaging for self-checkout 58% using the self-checkout machines. Our total circulation to date is 405,289. So that's 6 months in. If you double that, you're looking at over 800,000. And looks, if we were to double it today, we'd be over what we did last year. So our circulation continues to increase. In terms of the usage of the building, we're averaging about 1,163 people on a daily basis. So far to date, 194,302 people have walked through the building since July, since the beginning of the fiscal year. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Any questions? Go ahead, Trustee.
I want to request to the board that our staff is doing so good job, and we do charge for all the conference rooms and others to the public. I think we should have some sort of a policy that if the staff member wants to use that room for shower or their wedding or anything, we should give some discount to them.
Okay. Should we refer this to our policy committee in terms of taking another look at our rental of rooms?
We can do that, absolutely.
Does that work for you, Trustee? Yeah, because that would be a policy amendment, and we ought to have our policy committee look at that. Okay. Was there anything else, Trustee Berman? That was it. Okay.
That's all I have. Anything else I can answer?
Trustee Chekai.
Real quick question, Julie.
Sure.
The coffees with Superintendent Matthews,
Yes,
how have those been generally going over?
it depends. Sometimes they're busy, sometimes they're full, and sometimes they're not. I think it really depends on the time of day. I think it's been very good for him to have the opportunity and for it to be used in our building. And as far as I know, he's planning to continue. We're planning to continue to host them for them.
That's good. That is nice.
Yeah. When I've gone by a couple times, the room can be full, or sometimes you'll have a few. So it really depends on the time of the year, the month.
Thank you.
Yep.
Moving on to item number 11, Friends of the Novi Library.
Yes. No representative this evening. I know a number of them are heading to Florida. And they don't.
I do see their minutes of their meeting.
Correct. They have incorporated both their December and their January minutes in the packet. They will not hold a meeting in February. They're taking that month off. So just for you, for planning purposes for meetings to attend. I think the biggest thing still to mention and to thank them on is their generous gift that they gave us in December, which was the $20,000. So it's definitely appreciated, and I've been in contact with Pat. He's now down in Florida until April. They will hold meetings in March and April, and those will be done by their vice president, but he won't be back until April.
It certainly was a tremendous gift that
It
they
was.
gave us at our last meeting for the $20,000 from the Friends, and then the turnover from the Varsity Lincoln
Lincoln.
test drive
Yes,
of
it was great.
27 or 2,800.
Yeah.
Student representative report. Who gets to go first this time? Jessica.
Well, December was a nice, relaxing month where we can spend time with friends and family. So, 2012 was a good year, and we had a lot to be thankful for. So, yeah. Our TAB meeting, we talked about the team space and how the Nova Youth Assistant donated $200, and we were talking about the furniture we could add in, like beanbag chairs and foosball tables, and lots of other fun stuff. And then we talked about spreading the word about the teen space because a lot of kids don't know about it, so like more advertising on the teen.
Yep. And as we're planning into 2013, our next program we're doing is the teen writing contest that happens every year. That started off, I think, last week, and then it goes until March. Last year we had over 65 entries, which was great. We're hoping to exceed that this year. Also, looking ahead, we have a coloring page de-stressor program before midterms for the Novi students, a FAFSA and scholarship program, and then we're also doing a program where we're partnering with the Oakland County Health Department to help teens prepare for emergency situation. Also, at the TAB meeting, we discussed a teen volunteer program, and these volunteers who would help us would be doing like regular volunteering. They come in like every week or so, doing 2-hour shifts of like odd jobs, I guess you can call them. And then other matters, our Teen Anime Club met in December and remains strong in their attendance levels. And that is it.
Thank you. Any questions for our student reps? Julie.
Just to add to the teen space, in January, actually Thursday, January 31st, that will be the day that we unveil the new games, new furniture, and things like that, which started from the $200 donation that came from Youth Assistance, the Nova Youth Assistance. So if any of you want to be around at 2 o'clock, if you are, and you want to drop in, we hope to have the Novi News and Patch stop in as well and give some credit to Nova Youth Assistance for making the donation. And hopefully the teens will enjoy the new things that we bring to the room. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Historical Commission report.
They did not meet in December, so I do not have a report for them.
Any committee reports?
We do not.
This is the time in our agenda where we again allow the public to make comment. So if you didn't make comments at the earlier time and you want to make comments now, now's the chance to make public comment. Just got to attend the podium and you can say whatever you want to say to the library board. Can't twist anybody's arm to make a public comment, huh? Okay. We're moving on. Matters for board action. A, instituting a policy that requires a patron to present a library card for library-related services and resources effective September 1, 2013. Want to add to that, Julie?
Yes. Actually, what I provided for you were two policies that already are in existence. Those are on pages 37 and 39. So what I've done for you, these are existing policies that make sense because they're related to library card issuance, which is where I put in, I make a note that a library card must be presented at checkout under the general. And then on page 39 is our miscellaneous provisions policy on library cards and usage of the library, where I add in that same statement, a library card must be presented at checkout in a number of areas. The borrowing materials area, just so that we can refer back to that when we're showing patrons policy and they have a question. And then also in the holds area, number 4, because this is already required. When you place a hold at the library and you're picking up a material, you actually have to have that library card. You might be coming in and picking it up for your wife or your son, but you've got to have that library card in order to pick up that hold, because that's how it was generated at first try. So we're just reiterating that specifically then to the hold and the specific card that would have to be presented. I'm happy to take any questions. I know that the board had asked me to provide a little bit more information, which I did on page 31 in my report, about the library card, and you were looking for how we would implement and get the word out to our community over the next 6 months for letting them know about the change and requiring the library card. So I've given you 8 different things that we will do. These aren't options. This is everything we will do leading up to really going in September and requiring that card. I think this will be a lot of communication over the next 6 months to let our patrons know that we will be requiring it. We'll make sure that our website and e-newsletter, all of those things will constantly have that message to people, and we'll be talking to them. Obviously, when they come and check out and are working with an actual staff person, we will share that information as well. I think it's an opportunity this is a positive thing. This is not a negative that we're doing this. As you can see, I took the points that I brought to you in the last board packet in December. I brought those points back to you again as to why we're doing it, why it makes sense. A lot of it is time saving really for the patron themselves. It's to eliminate any confusion. We do get patrons with similar names, same names, and this way we know that specifically that card holder and the person with the card is the person that would be checking out the materials. So it's safety for them, it's less error, which there can be sometimes confusion, and then the opportunity for them to, not be standing in line as long and to continue to move them quickly through the building and not waste their time. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, Trustee Verma.
Thank you. Page number 37, about that journal, 2 lines, non-residents whose home libraries are part of. Now, what is our experience about that? Do we give that materials to non-residents?
If they are not in our network, so, we're part of TLN, which is about 60 libraries. So their library card can be registered into our system. They're actually part of the system already. They just have to check in. So they're already part of the system. This would be someone, if they're a non-resident, an example of that would be someone who lives in East Lansing, but they want a card from Novi. They'd have to purchase it. And we have a $100 cost to purchase a card, which is for 1 year. It would be an annual cost.
Do we have?
We do. That's already in place and in a policy.
No, people, they are buying it?
We actually haven't, but we've put it in place, but we don't have people who purchase it, no.
Okay.
Most of the people in our area have access to a library because it's their home library, or they know that they can go to another library because of the consortium that we're part of.
Okay, so we put in the policy, but nobody is buying it.
Right.
for
If there was
$100.
someone who asked and wanted a card from us, they wanted it that badly, we put that in many years ago. There was a cost to purchase a card.
Thank
And
you.
we keep that cost similar to what a taxpayer would be paying, for service of the library. So at this point, I always call our assessor annually to find out what is the library's worth to a patron. And right now, it's on average of $100.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Trustee Margolis.
Yeah, I'd like to put my comments on the record here.
Sure.
I endorse this policy. It's not meant to be punitive.
Right.
This is a recognition for all the patrons who follow the protocols and play by the rules and are forced to have to wait in line for somebody who, for whatever reason, mostly inadvertent, isn't prepared to process through. And when you go through the statistics, and we've got more activity, more patrons, more items being borrowed here. We only have so many DVDs and Blu-rays that are available, and everybody would like to have them longer than is necessary here. I want to reward those people that have worked with us and carry their card, carry their fob or whatever, and make the process more convenient for them. And the people that are inconvenienced because they don't have the card, I'm sorry, but again, we'll communicate the policy as best we can. And it's not, again, not meant to be punitive. But
And we're going to work very hard to get people library cards. If they come up and they say they don't have a card anymore, we're going to be getting those cards in hand to them. We want to make this an easy process. We want to make, there's a campaign that the American Library Association has out for a number of years now, and it's called The Smartest Card in Your Wallet. If we don't come up with a more catchy slogan, which I have my support services staff working on right now because I want them really involved in this process, because they're going to be the ones, you know, saying yes or no to a patron when they don't have their card. We will use that campaign if we don't come up with something that we think will fit us. So, and it's been a campaign now that has gone over very successfully for a number of years for a number of libraries to use. The way we've set it up in terms of our 6 months of marketing and promotion to the community is that from March until August, we're going to keep telling you, you know, don't forget your card and make it important and keep it in your bag. And, you know, we have key fobs that you can put it on your keychain. We're going to make it as easy as possible. And then September is National Library Card Sign-Up Month. So we go right into that month, too, where we're going to, again, be very positive and proactive.
I'm sorry, one additional comment.
Sure.
This is a follow-up. I thought it was mentioned at our prior meeting. We were going to investigate whether the use of smartphones and capturing that
And
data
we are.
would supplement that policy.
Yes,
So
it
you'd
would.
have a third option
Correct.
besides
Yes.
having the physical
And
card?
we're already moving forward. Barb Rutkowski, our head of IT, is looking into devices currently. In fact, TLN has been working with us because they're starting to identify some that work well with our system. And we're moving right along to even make it convenient where it's in your phone. If you own your phone, obviously that would be your library card, you know, yes. So you will see eventually a policy change to some of this so that it incorporates the smartphone. I just didn't want to bring it right away because we're not there yet. Yep.
Any other questions? I think it's then appropriate to entertain a motion to adopt these changes.
So I move to approve the library card issuance policy as presented.
Which is on pages 37 and 38.
There are two separate policies.
Yes. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Trustee Chekai?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I fully get this. The policy's on page 37, and then the policy on public policy on 39.
We're just dealing with 37, 38.
Okay, but the comments on page 31, that was just background and support for this policy?
Correct.
Because there's nothing in this policy that says it starts, for example, September the 1st.
Right. We're going to do that start. The policy will be in effect now when you actually approve it, but we won't make it effective until September 1st on us in order to give us 6 months. I don't think we have to put that time frame in. I think that language can go in now.
You just want to enforce it.
Correct. We will not. Correct. We will can start educating though right now and
But aren't we really calling for a policy change effective September 1st as opposed to now? And shouldn't we say it someplace that that's what this is?
I think you can approve it now. It's just us putting it into effect.
Oh, no, I don't
Right.
disagree that if we approve it effective September 1st, but I think it should state it someplace
Oh.
that it isn't effective till September the 1st.
Do you mean then at the bottom, instead of me putting the amended date of January 16th, it would be September 1st?
Well,
Well, we can amend it now, but have an effective date of September.
and it's only being effective for the amended portion, which is the highlighted portion, correct? Is that?
As the maker of the motion, I'm going to reject that request. I want the policy implemented. Now, whether we enforce it, a deferred enforcement, I'm okay with that. But I'd like to get the policy on the record so we can communicate it and not wait until August 31st to then say, oh, by the way, now we got a new policy.
We can say now that we're changing, the policy's been changed and we're going to work with you over the next 6 months, you know, and give you that opportunity to get ready, to know that you're going to need your card. I don't think the date does
Again,
matters.
from my perspective, it's our way of saying thank you to all the patrons that have worked with us and are respectful of their fellow patrons.
So we're asking to adopt the policy today, effective today, but don't enforce it for 6 months or 9 months? Well,
It'd be
8
six.
months.
It'd be six. It's September 1st. Because we have, well,
Whatever.
you're
September
correct,
1st.
actually, in terms
Right.
of months, yes, because we'll start it in March.
So what is it, I'm not so sure I see the practical difference between it being effective at September 1st as opposed to effective today, but you don't enforce it till September 1st.
Right, we won't enforce it until September 1st.
No difference.
But it's a policy today, but, so we're gonna pick and choose as to which policies
Well-
if someone was to pick up the policy tomorrow, it'll say, this is the policy, so.
Library's required.
So I will walk in with my library card,
Mm-hmm.
and then I will say to you, as the library director, as I'm waiting in line behind 3 people that don't have library cards, I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
Madam
Right.
Library Director, your policy says that it is required to have a library card, and then you're going to say, well, that's true, it's in the policy, but the board has said don't enforce it till September 1st.
That we wouldn't make it required until September 1st.
So it's not
Yeah,
effective
I see
till
what you mean.
September 1st. Okay, well, if that's how it would read, then I won't, I'll just vote no. Okay. What I was going to suggest is that I think there's been a lot of debate back and forth and some concerns, and maybe it doesn't have to be in the policy, maybe it should, but I would like to at least ask now that if the policy is approved today, effective September the 1st, that there would be a follow-up for the December 2013 meeting from the library director, advising the board what the experience has been, and whether or not the library director has any recommendations to continue the policy,
Okay.
cancel the policy, or to modify the policy. That way, for those people that do approach you and your staff, as well as the board, there is an opportunity to say, look, folks,
We have had.
we have a policy change, there is a mechanism to at least review how we're doing with it, so it's not necessarily a forgotten item. I would suggest that. I don't know if the rest of the board would go with that. But.
Why don't we have that for all the policies then?
Well, I think this one is a little bit more,
It affects our clientele probably more than
Yeah,
the
those are the
policy
words.
that we have. I mean, it's the direct impact on, I know, because I see it a lot. When I work the front desk, there are a significant number, well, maybe that's a harsh word to use, but there are a number of folks who come in who don't have library cards with them. And I think I had mentioned my concern before. I certainly, I will support this policy, but as I told you before, if it becomes a major problem, then I feel that we should have the opportunity to revisit that. So I would support, having some feedback a few months after implementation to see how this works. This would be one where we would need to loosely measure its effectiveness and.
Right. We have done in the past, though, when we raised our fines, back a year ago, it's a similar situation. I mean, this was money-related then. And we took 6 months. We passed the policy, to increase that amount. I came to you very early, and then we took 6 months to let people know, hey, as of July 1st, your fines are going to go up to this amount. And I can say that we have not had any backlash from that. I do believe it's in education, I think a big part of it. Another thing that we also did, which is client-related directly, is that we are requiring people to pay off their fines completely when they renew their card on an annual basis. If I don't get a phone call, that tells me that things are working well and that the staff was able to let them know why we're doing it and there wasn't any reason for them to take it higher. And I have not taken any calls related to those two particular issues that we made changes to over the last 2 years that affect client usage.
The big difference is, in those two instances, people are in the wrong. This one, really not having your library card, you're really not in the wrong per se. It's unfortunate you
They're
don't
not
have
in
your
the
card,
wrong.
but
Correct.
you did violate library policy by maintaining your circulation materials longer than expected.
Right.
And we did fine you, and we expect you to pay the fine. So I
Right.
think, at least for me, that's a little
Sure.
different from forgetting the card. And
The
I'm just
only
saying
thing
it's
is, though, is that, we're not trying to slap someone on the hand for not having the card. It's making it more convenient for them. they come in a number of times needing their card. If they sit down at the computer, if they have their card, that makes it so much easier for them, and they don't pay $1 to get a guest pass. So we're really encouraging them to get that card and have it in hand and keep it in hand so that when you're coming in the building.
Again, everybody is welcome to use the facility
Yeah.
itself. What we're trying to do here is for, when you got competing interests for either putting things on hold for popular items or for shortage of items, people that have the cards and use the cards and follow policy should have a preference over people that don't. That's my personal opinion here.
Well, I support the policy, but I made my comment specifically because I have heard from others on this board
Right.
that are concerned about it, and I think that Trustee
I'd be
Mena
happy
has
to follow up.
expressed probably collectively those concerns, and so my comment was more so
Sure.
in deference to the board members here, that, hey, look,
And I'd be
it's a
happy
touchy
to follow
issue.
up with you. Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to suggest that this is okay with Trustee Checkeye, to take the vote on this policy, and then, if it's adopted, to entertain the type of motion that I think you were offering, or perhaps the type of amendment that you were offering, in terms of getting a specific feedback at a certain point in time as to the reaction to this policy. But I'd like to do it separate as opposed to building it into this particular policy. They're related, but I think it will work better if it's a separate motion, if that's okay with Trustee.
That's fine with me.
Any other comments? In that case, I'll call a vote. All in favor of adopting an amendment to our policy P1, library card issuance, as reflected on pages 37 and 38 of our handout? All in favor, say aye.
Point of clarification. I'm sorry. What's being circulated here on the screens has the effective date that wasn't part of the motion.
Well, the screen is showing
Yeah.
an effective date.
That's great.
The one that's flashing right in front
It's
of
the
us.
home feed, you can't see it, Julie.
Oh, I
I don't know what
see the
it said.
screen, but I didn't happen to see that.
Here it comes.
Instituting a policy. Effective September 1, 2013. Well, that's what the screen says. That's not exactly what our
I just want to make sure that's not the motion we're voting on.
It's not the motion we're voting on unless somebody's
I don't know what
amending the
you're
motion.
looking at, so I'm not sure.
That's
We don't have a screen.
the description on the screen says it's effective September 1.
What's going out on cable?
What's going on in cable?
Oh,
Is that live or was that pre-printed? Did anybody know? Is somebody typing that as we're
Probably.
speaking?
Yeah.
Somebody at the back is typing it, not us, because we
No,
don't.
but as we're talking here?
right.
No, here it is.
I must say, I do not personally understand the difference between if it's going to be effective September 1, 2013, why I can't say that in the policy. I guess, I don't understand that rationale that it can't be in the policy. That's when we're going to make it effective.
We could have, it could, and I'm in agreement, it could be a policy, right? Which is an active policy, but the effective date would be September 1st. So I don't,
I will accept a friendly amendment changing that the policy is adopted, but enforcement will be effective September 1st.
So we'll put that into the language.
I'll accept that modification.
Okay. I think what I have to do now here is call a motion for the amendment.
Point of order,
Okay,
not to be a stickler, but I think it's my motion.
your motion. I'm sorry, Larry really did move for it initially.
Doesn't say that on the screen.
He did. I didn't hear him, and I heard you say it too. So I've interpreted it as Larry's motion with Trustee Margolis seconding it. And
Then I'll defer.
you'll defer. Do you have, well, I'll call motion on the amendment. Who's in favor? The amendment to the motion, or excuse me, the amendment to the policy as we see would be effective upon adoption, enforcement on September 1, 2013. Did I say that correctly? Okay. All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition to the amendment? Hearing none.
Aye, only because of the date. I still don't understand the effective dates, but.
Okay. Okay. So the policy is as we have in front of us on pages 37 and 38, added to enforcement effective September 1, 2013. All in favor of the motion, all in favor of the policy as amended?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none. The policy as amended by the motion is adopted.
Thank you.
President, I think I'm still a no on that. It was the same thing, right? What you just said, did you say the same thing twice?
I said it is the policy in front of us with the enforcement effective September.
It's effective today, or
Effective
upon adoption.
effective today, enforcement September 1.
And then you said, right, that's the only one we voted.
Right,
Yeah.
correct.
Did you vote no or yes?
Yes,
No,
no.
Did you vote no or yes? I'm
No.
sorry. Oh, okay.
You voted no.
I voted no.
So I'm sorry, it wasn't unanimously at
It was
that.
not.
Okay, 6-1. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, now, before we go to the next policy, I'm going to give trustee Checkeye a chance to move for a motion regarding the review of this policy on a certain date. And I'm going to let you word that the way you want to word that.
As a motion?
Yes,
Is it policy?
not as a policy, just as a motion.
I just
Take an
need
action.
to- I
Isn't
just
that an
need- I just need
administrative
to know
action?
that you want information in December. I can do that. I don't think you, I mean, it'll reflect in the minutes. I don't think there needs to be a motion or anything for you to do that. Yeah, you're not,
Yeah, it wasn't
you're just
intended
asking
to-
for feedback, right? You're
Okay.
just wanting some feedback as we.
I just wanted to put it out there
Correct.
on the record,
Yep,
if you will.
absolutely.
Okay,
If you
when
want-
did
I know
you
we
want
can do
when
that.
did you want just repeat it for my sake so that I understand exactly what you're asking for.
Before I do that, may I ask a question, totally unrelated? The beer and wine policy that we have,
Yes,
did we not have some type of a, trial period?
we did not. We
Or
followed
did
the
we
city.
put something in that said we would revisit it, or no?
No, we did
Okay.
not.
All right, then getting back to this.
That would just come back at, if the policy committee wants to get together and then revisit that, then you would and make changes. What I'll do is I'll make a note for myself to have the policy committee come back and look at this particular policy in December. I'll bring you feedback, and then you can bring it back to the board and say, it's going, it's
I
not.
would like the library director to report back for the December meeting,
Sure.
how this new policy implementation, how the new policy has been received. Is there any recommended modifications? Is there a recommendation to eliminate it?
Right.
To cancel it, to enhance it, or what have you?
Right.
But specifically at that meeting, that's 90 days into the new policy.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep, very good.
and the director said she will do that, so then I don't think we need to do a motion.
Nope.
Trustee Margolis.
But having said that, I'll make a motion that we put on for the future agenda for matters for board action, a review of the policy that will have been effective September 1st. So it forces us now to do the formal review that you're requesting.
Right. Okay, so that'll be in January that we would do that.
And you're making a request to the director, or you're making a motion?
Well, I'm making a motion because you asked at the beginning of the meeting, are there any agenda changes? I'm putting an advance agenda item
Okay.
that'll have to be on the
That's what we were going to do, right?
January
You're right,
meeting.
that was the intent, to get it on the December meeting. That way, if there was any changes, those changes could be made effective the first of the year.
Correct?
And that I believe we have to have a roll call on, a vote on.
First you need a second.
Oh, that's true too. We got a support, I know you get a support. Any further discussion on putting this on the agenda for review? And did you specify a December meeting or?
At the December meeting.
Oh, you want the
meeting?
December?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
December.
So the motion is to put this on our December meeting to review the policy.
Now, nobody cancel that meeting.
Okay? It's been moved, it's been seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? None. The motion to put the review of this policy on our December meeting agenda has been approved. Moving on to the next one, which is P4. page 39.
I'd like to make a motion to accept policy P4 as amended, effective September 1st,
It would be enforced,
enforced
for
September
enforced
1st.
September 1st.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Verma. Any discussion? Trustee Checker?
Quick question on the number 4. If, for example, if I was to place a hold on it on a Thursday morning, and then my wife was going to pick it up on my way home, it would be a different card, correct?
It has to be the card that was used to place the hold. So if it was your card, Larry, that you placed the hold, she would need your card to come and get it.
That's what I wanted to.
Because,
Okay.
and the reason why, it's computer, it puts your library card number to the material. It's not us saying we're trying to be difficult, it's making sure those
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
materials match.
That's the way I thought it was. Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
I have a little issue with the numbering. And, you get number 1 by policy 4, 2, 3, 4.
Oh,
6.
yes. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
But-
It actually shouldn't be a number in front of policy P4, and then it should start 1, 2, 3, 4. So the holds one is number 3. I apologize. Thank you for catching that. We'll make that change.
That'd be an insignificant change.
I'm thinking out loud, and that has to do with really the smartphone that someone could
I'd
get
like
an
not to deal with smartphone at all until we know what we're doing. That's why I didn't bring that language. We need to make sure we can provide it and it's going to work well before we bring that language in.
Okay, this is my hypothetical. I have something on hold. My wife comes to pick it up. She brings with her the email that's sent to me from the library that says my item's on hold.
We don't do that anymore. We wouldn't be doing that anymore.
You wouldn't be doing that,
It would be the library card in hand.
but it could be somebody else's
It
library
has to
card.
be. It has to be the one that matches the material.
But I mean, I could bring in my wife's
Yes,
library
you
card,
can.
or she
And
could
we
bring in
allow
my
that
library
now.
card.
We allow that now.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. But not not if you are in possession of an email
Right.
that was sent to your spouse or
We
someone
need
else in
the
the
card.
household?
Yep.
Okay,
This way it stays consistent. We're always looking for that card.
okay, that's,
Yep.
that's the intent, okay?
Yep.
Just, when we are putting a hold, we can put the name of my wife and myself too.
You have to use a library card number, so if you're using her card,
No, we can give both the numbers when we are putting a hold.
no, you can't.
Why
You
not?
can only, because they only ask for one number.
No, the point is, if I'm not available to come and I am asking my wife to go and get it, so she can't take it. But when I'm putting a hold there, I can give both the numbers there.
No, the library doesn't, the system doesn't allow you to.
Why not to change the system? Because other board members are asking the same thing. Supposing I'm not there, my child can come and my wife can
It's
come.
not us to make that change, that's through TLN. It's through it's not our system to have, that's our consortium system. Currently, how the system is created, it's for one library card number to be attached to an item where you place a hold. It's
Can I
not
put-
multiple.
Can I call and I say, okay, I cannot come, my wife will come and pick up, please give it a hold.
You don't have to call, all you have to do is have her bring your card. If you place the
I
hold.
cannot give my card because I am in India and she's here, so how can
Well,
I get my
Then
card?
you shouldn't have placed it with it. You should have placed it with your wife's card so that she could get you the
No,
material.
no, you are not making, this is not right. If I'm holding it and after 1 week I come and pick up and I said, I'm calling the library, I said, I cannot come, I'm so-and-so place and my wife will come. So at least I told.
Right.
Now you had to recognize that and give the book.
I need the card. That's why we're
No,
going with this
there's
policy.
something wrong there.
Point of order.
this is something-
I think the motion has been
Yeah,
voted and has been approved already.
Well, no, we haven't, no,
The
we're,
first one though, and that really,
well, this is the second, policy.
The hold has to go with, I mean, the person that's placing the hold in all honesty, should be the one reading or taking the book. I mean, that, it is your personal card, you're holding responsibility for placing the hold and getting that material. That's been in our policies forever, that you are the responsible party. So then you should then be the responsible party to pick it up. If you can't, at least give your card, the responsible party's card, to get the material, because that's how the computer system works, the system.
You are making library, this is the way my process is.
This is what we already do.
This is the way my process is, but you are not making it for the customer easy. This customer is somewhere in the Lansing, he cannot come. So he says.
So can you wait till tomorrow and get it, when you come back from Lansing?
No, you are saying the same thing now. The point I'm saying is making it easy for the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Why can it be that if the customer says, my son or my wife can come, please give the book?
But what you're missing, Trustee Verma, is that if we have to check it out on a card, and it's not going to be the card we're checking it out that matches the hold. The computer system won't let us do that. They have to match from the beginning. I'm gonna check in your wife's card then. You place the hold with your card. I'm gonna check in her number, and it doesn't match to get the book to make it work. That's where it has to always
Sure,
match.
okay, at that time, can you change it because?
No, we can't. It's through the system. That's how you get that book. That book could come from another library, and then it's set up to go to you, and it's that book. If I remove that hold and make a change, your book's gone and you can't check out that material. I've got to get it back. They're specifically number to number so that you know you're getting a material, and
I don't think it is customer is satisfaction.
Yeah.
I don't think so. This is not
Well,
right.
I think what we're talking about is we're maybe sort of I think to some degree, Trustee Mena was correct. We are almost revisiting the policy we adopted in the sense of having to have your card present to do all the transactions. There's kind of like a gut feeling that somehow if I want to authorize somebody else to get a book or get a card, like can't there be a mechanism to do that? I understand the computer has a card got the card, puts it on hold, it's got to match up that card.
Right.
The computer can't do a transfer of any sort?
It doesn't.
Transfer from library card Mr. to
No.
library card Mrs.?
Nope. It doesn't allow for that to be done. I can tell you that right off the bat. The system doesn't allow it.
When the book or DVD or whatever is put on hold, that doesn't check it out. It still doesn't go through the system.
Correct.
It's still.
Correct. It's still sitting there in
It's still
transit,
sitting there
waiting
waiting
for it to connect. Yep.
Trustee Margolis.
Well, unfortunately or fortunately, you happen to be reputable gentlemen here. But a slippery slope argument for me would be if I have a couple that is going through a divorce, let's say, you could have one spouse put the hold on it and pick it up on theirs, never return it, and build up fees. Now, when the party that the hold was put in, all of a sudden comes, wait a minute, I never took this item, but now you want to charge me $1,000 because it's been a year?
And that can happen family-wise
Of
too.
course, you're
children
going to
and
create
everything.
more controversy that way.
And there's privacy involved in that. By you giving your card, because you place the hold, you're giving permission to someone to use your card, which is a privacy act. I mean, it's a privacy issue in itself that you say, which is on the back of the card, I am responsible, and if anybody I lend this to, I'm responsible for the card. You are that responsible party.
And I think, if I may, I think the important point here is, this is a policy that has been in place for quite a long
oh my
time. I mean,
gosh.
what we're discussing now is
Years and years
something
and years.
that, you know, if
The
we
system
want to
works.
revisit.
Yeah, the system's
in
working.
a policy in the future, that would be fine. But right now, that's
Yeah.
current policy, and I think we're probably, you know, probably at
it's
a point here where
working.
we need to move on this one, correct?
Well, that's the specific provision of the amendment. We are proposing to change item number 4 for the words, the library card used to place a hold must be presented at checkout.
But
Isn't
it
that the
already
purpose?
is, we're already requiring it. I'm just putting it in language because we're talking about a library card now. Specifically, I'm putting it in. It already is required. You just haven't seen it. I mean, you know, it's something that we have to do anyways.
Trustee Kilgore.
I suspect what you probably could do, if you were inclined to, and might not involve a change to the policy, would be if my wife showed up to pick up one of my holds, would be to remove my hold, let her make a new hold, and then take it out.
Not that item though, because if you have a number of people waiting for a title, that's going to jump to the next hold person. You do not get the opportunity to check it out. It needs to go to the next person in line.
Well, that's her problem.
But then we'd have more people upset that they didn't get their book. See, so you're taking from the hold list. You're taking from the people waiting. So we're trying to make it as fair as possible by keeping people in line and keeping them, getting their materials.
Trustee Chaka.
Question, the after-hours hold box, how
Yes.
does that work then?
The after-hours hold box, you have to have a library card because you use the last 4 digits of the card in order to open up the locker.
So you just have to know the number of the card? So if you just put it in the overnight locker?
The person who's calling us is saying, I have a hold, I'd like it placed in an after-hours locker. We say, okay, what is your name, your library card number, because we will then initiate that to be in there. We verify it's them, we put the materials in the locker. They pick it up with the last 4 digits
Well,
of,
you verify on the phone. Does it go into the box after hours, or do you put it in that box?
it goes in
after I
towards
call you?
closing, no, it goes in towards closing, that's when we make it available. And then it's any time up until the time that we open that it's for them to get, for them to
Right,
pick up.
so, in Trustee Verma's example, if he's in Lansing, and he calls you and says, I have the hold, you say it's in, and he says, please put it in the after-hours box.
We could do that.
Then he will just contact his wife or his kids and
Yep,
say,
with that card
okay,
number.
here's the card number, it's gonna be in the
Correct.
after-hours box.
Correct. Yep. No, but that's absolutely right, yep. So there's a service that's provided in that, absolutely.
But you don't put it
Primary
in there.
responsibility is still to the hold user.
It's, right,
Oh, no,
exactly.
that's right.
You
If I
bear-
give my number out, it's,
Yes.
Yeah,
You bear
you
the
said that's right.
Right.
You said it was you, and
but you don't put it in there until
Yeah, we
the
don't
afternoon.
put it
Now,
until close to
Can I request that you
closing.
put it in, if I call you at 11 o'clock in the morning and I know I won't be back and I need it by 3,
no, we
can I-
can't, you come in and get it. We're open.
No, I know, but if I say I'm gonna be after hours, can you put it in the box now?
We will, no, we won't. We will do it closer to closing, yeah. Yeah. That way we know that they are after-hours holds. And we're not just pulling materials and make it, I mean, why don't they just come in then, the patron, and get it from us?
This is already in the practice, is going on, so you never had any problem?
No.
Good, so why we are talking?
I don't know.
Let me ask another question. Okay, currently, before we adopt it, you need the library card for everything. If you had something on hold, you could pick that up on hold by showing your driver's license, right?
No, you need a library card.
Well, right now, if you don't have
If
your
it was the
library
holder with
card,
it, yes,
you show your
yes,
driver's
you can use your
license and
driver's
they'll
license.
activate it.
But that means, his wife would need his driver's license,
No,
and he's in
well,
Lansing.
but that would be the question. What if the person gave some other ID, other than the library?
But you'd need that person's ID. You wouldn't
Yeah.
need the person who's coming
You
to
need a
get it.
person's ID.
Right, you'd need the person that can say it's yours in order for me to look up the account and get the right number in order to check it out on the right account and with the right hold numbers.
I know you probably answered this many times over the course of the last couple of meetings, but how many cards is somebody allowed to get, let's say, in any calendar year?
We haven't addressed that. What we're going to do is that we will allow one card given out. You're talking, I'm sorry.
Well, no, the example
No,
is,
I
I'm in the
apologize.
library 5 times.
If you lose your card, there's a replacement cost to get a card.
Okay.
With this policy, though, when it comes to September, and let's say you show up in September after a whole 6 months of us telling you need it, you show up, we will put in a one-time, we'll let you check out, and then we're going to put a reminder in your record that we did give you a one-time, courtesy checkout without your card. It'll be noted, and then we won't do it again.
I'll have to get another replacement card.
You'll have to get a card if you don't have it, correct? You'll
How
have to
much does that
purchase
cost?
it. $2. $2.
So if I show up and I don't have my card, I have my license, and I got the 3 Ds I've been looking for.
And you really want them, and you don't want to wait
It's
until you go home to get the card.
It's 4:30 on Friday afternoon,
Right.
and I'm gonna stay on that line, and I'm gonna say, well, I'd like to get another card. I lost my
Okay,
card.
we'll give you a card for
But then you give me the
$2.
card then, and
Uh-huh.
then, but you just charge me $1 or $2.
$2, correct.
But there's no limit, so you could have someone.
You could have
at the
someone
end of the year,
keep buying a
$20
card,
worth of new
sure,
cards.
if they want to do that.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's, so I guess one is, if you just have your driver's license, you don't have your card.
Yeah.
There is a way for you to,
Yeah, you
walk
could-
out of the
you could
library
purchase.
inexpensively
Yes.
with what you came for.
Yes.
Any further discussion on the motion as presented with the addition of correctly numbering the paragraphs?
Yes.
And
Do we
the
know?
added statement of enforced September 1, 2013? Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? One opposition.
I support both policies. I'm just uncomfortable with the effective date and the enforcement dates. That's why I'm voting no. But I do support
Understandable.
the intent of both proposals and the policies that the board.
We
Thank you.
understand why you voted.
The last
Policy
policy,
adopted with the amendments stated.
the last policy is just some changes. It's the communication device purchase and usage policy. We no longer have Blackberries that we use with the building. This is our, this is a staff employee policy that we currently have. And since we're actually just following the protocol from the city of Novi, they've gone ahead and done a revision of their communication device policy. We are doing the same by eliminating the Blackberry language, adding in smartphone or iPad, since those are the new buzzwords when it comes to technology and how we're using it for the device policy. This mirrors the city in terms of the policy and for us to move forward. I don't see any major concerns.
Just going along with that trend, crossing out, could we replace iPad with tablet? Because instead of 6 months from now?
Sure,
That-
yeah.
change
So
that.
it's just a smartphone, tablet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yep, absolutely.
In essence, I think
How many do we have outstanding, I'm sorry, how many do we have? Are these library-provided devices?
These are, yes, for staff. Management team are the staff members that have one of these devices.
So how many do we have?
There are 6.
So there's 6 cell phones we're paying, and I take it it's I don't know what the plan is, but it's a full data plan?
Correct.
Okay, so it's $60 plus per phone?
It's usually, it's about $60 per phone. And the employee can opt to pay in to make it personal usage as well, or opt out and have it just be for work-related purposes only. We have a form that we fill out, and then anyone who opts to pay into even additional from the charge, you're charged $20 if you're doing personal. If you feel that there needs to be more, because we look at then the bills to say, hey, you're really using your phone more than that. So there's an additional cost that then the employee puts in to add to that additional cost.
How do you, if I never make a phone call, but I download and I email and so forth by the Dickens, how do you probably have an unlimited data plan?
There is, correct.
So there is no individualized bill?
Correct.
So,
There's individual bills, yes, no, there's individual bills, so
No.
we can track per person the usage. Yes.
what usage?
But we have a plan that allows for no cost, like the plan is $60, allows for texting, it allows for data, it allows for instant messaging, so all those different things are included in there.
Right, but at the end of the month, when you get your monthly bill, how does your bill read for
If-
any particular person's phone?
Every call you look at every call, everything that's going on per person, per staff
No,
person.
but if I never make a phone call.
Right.
All if I do is use data, text, and download.
The cost would only be $60,
But I
which
mean,
what the plan
you don't
is.
get a detail of my texts, or your employees' texts.
No.
So how do you really know what's,
We know the amount of usage.
Minutes.
I think
they're
he's asking,
using
does it indicate the data usage as well?
It does.
Like how many,
but
4
Yes,
or 3?
it does.
How do you know what of that is personal versus what is that is library related?
I don't.
I think that's my point, so I mean,
Right.
it just seems that, why don't we just go ahead and charge everybody $20 and call it a day, all your employees? $20 towards their phone and let them have the phone and be done with it, because I don't know how you'd administer this policy.
Well, I mean, the city's been doing it, we've been following it, and there hasn't been a problem. And if people, I have staff people who carry 2 phones, who literally opt to have a personal phone because their plan with home, is better, and they're only carrying it for work purposes in terms of getting emails and taking phone calls that come in. I mean, I have staff people that never use it for anything but that, and you can see it in terms of usage. If I don't have anything even indicated as text message or anything, they're not using it for that unless it's
But if they're in the office, do they need to have, if they don't use it, isn't there enough access for them for phone and email usage at their desk or cube or otherwise? They don't need a phone?
Our management team isn't always in the building, and we're pretty much 24/7 in the evenings and on weekends, to be.
Pardon my ignorance, here.
Sure.
All this communication is live? It doesn't go through any kind of server where it's recorded at all?
I'd have to check, I don't know that
Because I'm
answer.
wondering if any of it's foiable.
I have no idea.
Well, who's the server? Who's the service provider?
Verizon,
So that's probably just the standard plan you guys and I got, and everybody else is Verizon.
I can check on it, but I don't know. I know that that's not been a concern with the city, and the city is issuing, many of these phones. We follow the same policy that they do.
Yeah.
So I just don't know. I mean, I know that we're complying to what, they are doing in terms of usage.
But if they're not, if what they're doing isn't right, I mean, that, we shouldn't do it if we think it's not right?
Well, I don't
I
understand.
mean, just because the city does it doesn't
what's not-
legitimize it.
Well,
It's practice.
but what is it that's not right? I don't understand I guess I don't understand your question then. What is it that you're
I'm
concerned
really-
about that
I-
might not be right?
I'm saying that, okay, well, would it be appropriate then to ask the library staff to report in monthly as to the personal versus business use of each of
It's
our
already
phones?
it's already documented in the bill. It's already documented every month what would be, I mean, you'd have to look at numbers, but we can provide them as to what's personal and what's not.
No, but I'm saying if you have, to me, I would just charge your management team $20 a month, give it to them and forget about business and personal, because you'll never know. Because the chances are that they won't, those people that have 2 phones, and I'm not trying to be disparaging, but they'll use their own phone to make outside calls, but they may have older phones, they don't have a data plan, because they don't want to spend the $20 or $30 or $40 for a data plan, and they're using your phone, your smartphone, to do everything from work-related to personal use, to go online, to do shopping, to check the weather, to check the stock market. That they don't have, that's business. It's not, and that's personal, it's not business. And this policy says that if you use it for personal, you have to pay for it. And I just don't know how I'm not so sure I want your time spent, or your staff's time, wondering if your 6 people are really,
I guess I'm
You know,
not wondering, because
24/7,
I'm hoping that the people that have
365,
signed
who's
up for the account and signed the contract and put their name to it and said they're using it not for personal use, they're not using it for personal use. I mean, I can see what's coming through every month, what the usage is. If I don't see any usage that's telling me that they're not making any personal calls or anything, they're not even taking work calls, necessarily.
yeah, but if you
But
saw
they are
usage-
checking email, they are connecting with us.
I don't think we could force an employee to pay $20
They're not
because
using
we
it.
give them a company, cell phone and say, you have to pay $20 because we're assuming that you're going to use it somewhat personal. I don't think we could do that.
But we don't have to give them a smartphone either.
Well, that's a different question, but I think
Well, but no, the question before us is, because the city does it, we're being asked to change our policy to provide, or allow for providing smartphones.
But I think there's a decision made in terms of who really needs a smartphone
And
who
it's
doesn't.
only the management
Yeah, it's
team
only
that
the
has them,
management team.
6
It's
people.
not like everybody.
Yeah, there's nobody else on staff.
I think it's such a small issue, I'm not overly concerned about it. And plus, the people are saying, if they're not paying the $20, they're saying, I'm not using it for personal.
And I know that I do know that they have a second phone. So why would they pay for a second phone?
Well, but Mark, if the plan is, and the plan probably is, unlimited usage.
Yeah.
That means unlimited cell phone calls out, texting, and internet usage, right?
Yeah.
So why not just give the employees the phone, eliminate the policy, and say the management team gets a smartphone? call it a day. Because right now, you're saying your personal use, you won't, you get an itemized bill for every call that goes out. Okay, and then who determines that that is a business-related versus a personal?
Well, if there's overages, that's what they're paying into, is the overage calls. I mean, for my example, okay, I pay $20 because I know I'm using it for personal use, but I also pay an additional $10 because I feel like, just in case if there's overages, which there never is, but I just do for myself.
I don't want to belabor it.
Yeah.
I would just, going to Trustee Sterling's point, if you're going to do the phone, I think it's a waste of time to determine if it's personal versus business use, because I think it's very, very difficult to do it. And the chances are, somebody may make an inadvertent personal call. And then I don't know if you're going to charge them for that. I wouldn't. Would not.
Getting back to the
policy, yes.
getting
I'll make a
back to the
motion to
policy.
approve it as it is.
Getting back to the policy.
I'll make a
Trustee
motion to approve
Margolis.
it.
We've had discussion on many occasions, and I believe we're targeting our next budget sessions to talk about employee perks and recognition of their superior efforts. This, to me, is a cheap way of saying thank you to the management team. Don't even bother charging for it. Okay, give them the phone.
I don't mind
Presume that
I'll be
it's-
very honest, I don't mind being charged because I know that I make personal calls. And I
That's
think,
the point.
you know.
You're a professional,
Right.
you're conducting the predominance of the business usage as a courtesy, as a thank you, as a perk, however you want to qualify it.
Right.
If you need to use it on occasion, I'm not going to monitor. I
Right.
don't think you're going to abuse it.
right,
Why even make an issue? It's taking time analyzing, oh my God.
Right.
There's an extra $2 charge you didn't pay for, or whether 20 is the right amount, maybe it should be 18.
Yeah.
Take it and know that we appreciate everything that you're doing, trying to keep staff morale positive. That's where I'm coming from.
Trustee Teasdale, I don't think we've heard from you too much tonight.
I would agree that it's a small token of appreciation, but I believe since we're using public funds, that would be audit finding, and we would not be able to provide that for the personal time. Having experienced that at another institution that was public, that's an audit finding.
And I think there's a reason why the
Why
city
they
has
set it
the
up that way.
policy that they have.
absolutely.
Getting back to the more specifics of this policy. Not that that's not sort of related. Any further discussion on this policy?
Is there a motion on
There is a food.
Yes.
There's a motion.
We have a
Who
second
made it? Who
already?
seconded it?
No one seconded it, yeah.
Support.
Okay, now it's been seconded. Count on trustee Kilgore. At least get the motion seconded.
amended,
You know.
Yes.
The amendment was the tablet word, right?
Right.
Adding
Yeah,
tablet.
removing
just to match
iPad and add
at the
tablet.
bottom, right?
The one comment I wanted to make, I hope I don't have to do it in the form of an amendment, but would it be amended January 16 instead of January 13?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know, where did I get the 13th? That was a typo. I apologize.
Seeing no more hands, I'm going to call for a motion on this policy.
Did I do that on the others?
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, unanimously approved.
Great,
as
thank you.
We discussed. I believe that's all of our action items. I will be happy to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before you do that, I just want to just make note of a couple things in terms of events that are coming up. First off, there is the Homeowners Association Leader Appreciation Reception, which is tomorrow evening. So if any board members want to join me, I will be at, the library will have a table. If you'd like to join me, I will be there. Also, we are open now on Martin Luther King Day, which is this Monday, January 21st, and we will have a number of programs that day to celebrate. One of them being a museum that is coming to the library to be on display from 4 to 8 p.m. I did incorporate information in your packet so that you could see what was going on for the day. And then we do have, yes, I'm sorry.
library is doing in the evening, 7 to 9 o'clock, and how about the school? They
The
used
schoo-
to.
The school is doing programming as well, but we're partnering with them.
Are you
So
going to do in the hall there, in the school hall, or you
No,
are doing in the
all
library?
of our programming is at the library.
So what the school do, they do in this big hall, auditorium?
I apologize, but I don't know what their programming is.
Yeah, but they do every year.
Yeah, I don't know the time or the details on it.
And the point I'm saying is a duplicate, because you are also doing and they are also doing. But they have been doing it every year.
That's correct. If my recollection is correct, the school's special Martin Luther King thing is tomorrow night, if I
Yeah,
recall,
Thursday night.
the 17th. So I don't believe they're doing anything on Martin Luther King.
Okay.
I think it's actually tomorrow evening.
Because we touched base with the schools early on to make sure that we weren't going to duplicate anything. And the schools came on board with us to provide the programming that we are doing.
Once upon a time, the schools did do it.
They did.
Like 2 o'clock the afternoon in the auditorium on Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah.
No, but in the evening, the mayor and all those keynote speakers are invited, they do in the evening. But that, he says that is tomorrow.
Believe it is tomorrow's the 17th?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
I think
it
you're
is
right.
tomorrow,
I think
yes.
you're right, Willie.
Do you want to remind us of any other events, Julie?
We are kicking back up for the new year, the Listen at the Library, which will feature the Alios String Quartet, which is February 3rd. Again, the Friends will not meet in February, and then we have our budget meetings coming up in February as well. So I hope to see you at those events.
Now
Thank
I
you.
will entertain a motion
Yes.
to adjourn. Second, anybody?
Second?
Been moved and seconded, all in favor to adjourn, say aye. Aye. Any
Thank you.
opposition? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Yes.